past month, we've prepared a review letter, which we submitted on July 6th, and that's for the Zern tract, which is at 101 Jackson Road. We've been helping out with the highway maintenance building, setting up meetings with the utilities, and we're awaiting final mechanical plans. Quigley Bus Service, they've since hired a new traffic consultant, so our traffic department is working with their traffic consultant to go over our last review letter to make sure that they address all of our remaining comments. The seal strip, which is a building addition on Industrial Drive, we submitted our review letter on July 5th. And something that's recently been added was 1500 East Philadelphia Avenue. They submitted a revised traffic impact study, which we've reviewed, and we just actually submitted our traffic review memo today on that project. So we've been pretty busy the last month. That's all I have for you, unless there's questions.
Thank you, Josh. Any questions for the engineer? Yes, Alex.
Yeah, it would be me, wouldn't it? This Quigley business, how far away have they progressed on that? Because it sort of stop-started, then it got delayed, and all over the place.
There's not really been any change on traffic. We're still, waiting for this. The same reason why the plan was denied. We're still waiting for those answers. How they're routing traffic. They're making progress. They've tried to do more recent traffic count. However, they've changed engineers. So I'm not saying they're starting from square one, but they're trying to address our concerns in a more timely fashion. And they felt that a new traffic engineer might help with that process. So we're still back to trying to make sure that everything that was in the zoning hearing board decision is going to be carried out, so that they don't increase the traffic along Middle Creek Road more than what's currently there, except in an emergency situation. The same goes for Wilson Avenue. So they have the constraints of having to put the vehicles basically out onto Swamp Creek Road.
If they're not going to increase the traffic on Middle Creek Road, how are the buses can't move around? They've only got 2 roads they can go on.
Well, they can't even go on Schlegel. It's a dirt road.
Yeah.
So they have to go on Swamp Creek Road out to County Line.
When this came out, they were taking the whips off of the buses, but they forgot to include the mirrors. That's an extra couple of feet.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
I'm sorry, they forgot to include, when they were figuring out how wide a bus was, they forgot to include the mirrors on it. And the road, I believe, is a 22-foot wide road. I mean, you had some
maximum.
Maximum, real close encounters there. And then you get flooding. Now, by law, a school bus cannot travel on a flooded road.
That's correct.
So now what happens?
They would be allowed in an emergency situation per the zoning decision to go on Middle Creek.
So you have a law, and in an emergency you're able to break that law, which is pretty well every time you have a good downpour. That was the most ridiculous place to put that facility.
That's their requirements. That's the zoning hearing board decision from 2012, and that's what they have to work with. Our biggest concern is to make sure that it's enforced and to make sure that it doesn't cause traffic concerns throughout the rest of the township. And if it does, what are those? What are they going to have to do to fix those traffic concerns? So off-site improvements, that was brought up at one of the last planning agency meetings. So we've made it clear what we're looking for. And we're now just looking to make sure that the school district provides the proper, plans, routes to their engineer, which then gets it to us. So that's what we're working on.
So this is going to be an ongoing thing for the next few years.
I can't guide how quickly they move. I think the township, and I'm not trying to speak for the township, I just heard that they're looking for progress, based on what's happened in the past. So as long as they're making progress, all I can say.
Hang on, Bert. What I cannot understand was why this whole situation was allowed to go the route that it has taken. They should have turned around and says, no, the roads aren't wide enough. They flood. And
None of us are on the zoning here, and we can't.
okay, I'm done. Bernie's your turn.
Okay, my question is, they came in here and asked for an extension, they were denied. Maybe you can answer this, Robert. And then later they were given one. How much of an extension did they get?
Well,
I thought it was like a 90-day extension or a 30-day extension.
30
It was
days.
30 days.
You know, now we gotta be past that.
Well, no.
Now they're changing.
no, they,
Probably follow land use.
yeah, they filed a land use appeal to the court.
Oh, okay.
So that stayed a lot of those things. And so now it's back to the point where they're trying to move ahead with the project rather than litigate at the Court of Common Pleas.
Okay.
And that's, again, I jumped into this whenever I was appointed a couple months ago. So the meetings that I've had with them deal with, we're trying to get the things so we don't litigate it in court, because I think that's expensive and time consuming. I don't know it's going to get us anywhere, especially in view of the fact that the zoning hearing board granted them the relief, and everybody here is telling you that they're not on the zoning board, but they're permitted the use, and as Alex pointed out and as Josh pointed out, the issues relate to traffic with the school buses. And so they are given permission to continue to try to work out those issues. And as Alex described, they have a new traffic engineer, and the old one didn't agree with our traffic engineer, so maybe their new one's going to agree with them. But the trick to this whole project is the bus traffic and where it's going to go and the extent to which it can go here and there.
I think it also follows because years back, I had a trucking business shoved down our throat where I lived. And it was due to some of the, I strongly feel, faults of the township. I spent years trying to get this guy. He built a gigantic building, started with 2 trucks, ended up with 20-some. He was driving, and the roads weren't fit then. And I feel sorry, and from what I understand, 90% or 80% of the people in that resident don't want this. So my question is, why is this being shoved down their throat?
Well, we
As
don't
a
have,
taxpayer?
the issue is the use is permitted because the zoning hearing board granted the use sometime in the past. I don't know when that was.
Why?
It's 2012.
Yes.
Can't they resend it?
So, no. So 2012, the zoning board granted permission to use the property for that purpose. And they put certain conditions on that approval, which need to be adhered to. And so after the zoning board gave them the use, they're entitled to come through the system, through the land development and subdivision ordinance, which is what the plan is that they're going through right now. So the township's position is that they need to comply with the standards or the conditions of the zoning decision and those limitations. So that's what's being worked on right now.
I mean, in my circumstance, it was a residential area. The milking trucking business is what he was hauling. And at one time, he was my best friend. My wife and I took him, his wife, and his foster child to Florida after he got hurt real bad. But to me, it was like shoved down our throat. And it was like, and when we ended up taking him to court, it was stop and cease immediately. It was 2 years later, he finally moved that trucking business out. I mean, it was horrible. And the roads, when he come in with the trucks, a car couldn't pass him. Then it was 4:30 in the morning, they were firing the trucks up. We had to smell the fumes or listen to the noise. So I think the residents that live there should be the primary, well, you went through it, how it was shoved down your throat then. Well, I mean, once it's there, it's hard to get rid of stuff. Yep.
I mean,
And I, as a taxpayer, really think this is wrong, that if so many people object to this, that this should even go any further.
Unfortunately, the horse is out of the barn because the zoning board.
Well, let's shoot the horse.
well, Bernie, I think residents did comment. I think that's what they weighed in. That's why they said don't increase traffic. But I mean, I don't know. None of us
I
were
don't
there.
think we should conjecture on
Sorry.
why they did it. They did it, and you got the conditions. That's
And then I'll go back to one more question.
We have-
What is this as taxpayers costing us?
Right now, I don't know that it's costing anything because
So when it starts, please let me know.
Brother,
There's still room for this board to take action. Am I correct?
Yeah, the land development plan is not approved.
I mean, we
It's
don't
right
have
now, we're disagreeing,
With
the
them.
township's disagreeing with them on their traffic count for the buses, so that's where it is right now. Alex has a question.
I've got this one question. I was told that the zoning cannot refuse to give permission for a building or to change the use of land, which when I checked on it was illegal. You can, the zoning commission, zoning boards can refuse. It's the Fair Use Act that comes into play. If it's something that is totally unsuitable for that piece of land, then they can refuse to give permission. And yet some of these people up there seem to think that they cannot, they've got to keep, anyone who comes in, unless it's someone who wants to build one house. If it's a company, they can come in as, best of luck to you, and we give you permits and permission and whatever else is involved, right? That was wrong, what I was told, right? But, some of these people think maybe they can't refuse, because it's very rarely that you see where they actually say, no, you can't do that. They have to, the house up on the traffic lights up the road here, they want to change that, and that was just a woman and a daughter, and that got blown down. But everything else is, maybe they should be looking a little bit more about what they can do up there, as opposed to turning around just giving carte blanche to everyone, because no one with that Quigley business, that our residents here wanted it. This room was packed with people complaining about it. And at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, when they start those buses up, we got to see what happens. And then when the roads flood and the buses, where you got to put the buses if they're out there?
And I can
Stick with the
assure you,
schools.
their complaints will be heard.
Well, I know when we
Okay, I'm
complained,
finished.
they weren't heard, because we kept complaining about the noise, the smell. And the best part of it was, Bob, they never had we had to take them to court because they never got a legal variance to build them. Established, we built a gigantic bulkhead, 40 by, 200 or 140? But it's like, what is going on here? And then we were told, take them to court, or you're gonna live with them, the rest of your life. Well, of course, we as a group took them, but then it took 2 years to get rid of them. It's just,
It doesn't happen fast.
no, it's not a good system.
Very slow.
Right,
Okay,
thank you.
let's move on.
Josh, I got a question.
Yes.
The bridge, it said, it's on Wilson and Swan Creek Road, relatively new bridge. Last week I observed there were people down there boring with concrete. Do you know what that was all about?
I don't know if that was part of our testing or.
I don't know. John?
There's a truck there that, I don't remember the name, I drove by, it's parked on the other way, but they were actually boring into the concrete on the stream side and the west side. They're really made on industrial slime.
Yeah.
But this is curious, why would we be boring on the bridge if it's just recently built something like that?
I honestly, I would have to get,
I'll
how
have
we
to
go
look into
about
it. I do
yeah.
not.
I don't know if we could, we'd have to get back to you.
I understand, okay.
Okay. Like I said, moving on.
Fred, we should assess.
Yeah. Motion to accept Josh's engineering report.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second. Vote?
Kaiser, aye.
Ziegler,